Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Um, First of all, I would like to thank each and every one of you. Like I mentioned before, that you have taken your valuable time and you have come for this very evening event, considering the importance of what the topic is really about. So for that, I would like to convey my heartiest thanks to all of you. Thank you. And with this, I would like to welcome you for today's evening session on bridging millennia, technological preservation and promotion of Indian-Tibetan knowledge system. And before that, I would also like to welcome all the participants who are watching us live on YouTube. And with this, I would like to begin today's evening session. So, first of all, I would like to explain about the program detail of today's evening session. First, we have the lamp lighting and the souvenir session, and then we have a welcome address note given by our secretary, Mr. Tenzin Kunjapla, and then we have the special lecture on bridging millennia, technological preservation and promotion of Indian-Tibetan knowledge system by Venerable Dr. Geshe Lobsang Monlam. And I would also like to welcome Venerable Geshe Lobsang Monlam for coming here, and I'm pretty much convinced that he doesn't need any introduction, as everybody knows he's quite a popular figure, not only in the Tibetan community, but also in the Indian community as well, and globally. And I would also like to welcome Mr. Tenzin Tilila and Mr. Tenzin Norsala for joining with us for today's evening session with Venerable Geshe. Now, I would like to request Venerable Dr. Geshe Lobsang Monlam and Mr. Tenzin Tilila and Mr. Tenzin Norsala to kindly light the lamp of wisdom, and then I would like to request our secretary to kindly offer the souvenir to our guest speaker, Geshe Lobsang Monlam. Thank you very much, Venerable Geshe. Currently, he has developed 37 software programs available on Android, iOS, Windows, and Mac operating system. The Monlam Dictionary app, a result of his work, has been downloaded by millions worldwide. He has earned a Ph.D. in library science in the year 2023. Geshe Lobsang Monlam's commitment to integrating Tibetan knowledge into digital world is acknowledged by prominent religious leaders, notably by His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama himself. He has visited universities and research institutes globally, sharing viewpoints and learning from computer science experts. His daily meditation practice is integral to his routine. Geshe Lobsang Monlam's latest initiative is the Monlam AI, Artificial Intelligence and Tibetan Digital Library Project. Now, without any further ado, I would like to request Venerable Dr. Geshe Lobsang Monlam to kindly lead this session. And I would also like to add on that we are truly honored to have you today with your gracious blessing and your devotion for and your commitment towards today's evening session, Geshe. Please, Geshe.
Sorry. Good evening. I'm Geshe Lobsang Monlam. First, I like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Geshe, the director of Tibetan House in Delhi. I'm thankful to him and his colleagues for providing this opportunity. His extensive guidance of benefiting humanity is truly commendable. And moreover, he serves as advisor for Monlam AI and Tibetan House is one of the partner in Monlam AI project. Today, as we discuss Indian-Tibetan knowledge, Geshe Dorje Damdurla is stand out as the exemplary figure. He is not only well-served in Asian, Tibetan, and Indian culture, but essentially as a living scholar of Nalanda. I consider him to the great scholar of the Asian Nalanda. For at the thousands of years, as there has been deep cultural and religion connection between Tibet and India. In the 7th century, King Songtsen Gampo invented Tibetan script, introduced Buddhism from India to Tibet, and translated many Indian scriptures to Tibet. And many aspects of the Indian cultures spread to Tibet include grammar, engineering, medicine, pottery, Abhidharma, logic, music, astrology, dharma, and philosophy, Buddhist and non-Buddhist Indian religion schools, yogas, and Indian histories. Tibetan Buddhist monastery established educationally at the institution similar to Indian Nalanda University. This connect greatly influenced to the development of Tibetan culture and philosophy. And many texts that have been lost in India are still served in Tibetan. This can be summarized into 10 facts of knowledge. According to research, there are over 21,959 different topics or classification within these 10 facts in Tibetan. And it is believed that there are even more than double this number. Similarly, we have a complete report of the 10,113 commentaries on Indian text written by Tibetan scholars. This is just an example, and there are many more. And the current Tibetan view on the origin of Tibetan people. At the first, the view of Tibetan origin from a Bodhisattva monk father, father, and the demon's mother. This explanation is related to the Indian Ramayana epics. This view emerged in the 11th century and source founded in the Manikampum. The Bodhisattva monk father is said to Hanuman. And secondly, this view related to the origin of Tibetan too. The Mahabharata, a lower Indus story, in the commentary by Master Shirab Gocha, it is said that when the 5 Pandava sons fought against the Karapa armies to the defect the Rupati the first felt to the Sona mountains, then Tibetan descent from the people. The third, the view is based on the religious explanation according to text, human descent from the gods from the realm. And similarly, Tibetan are believed to have a descent from the Indian people. In any case, the belief that Tibetan origin from India, regardless of the factual accuracy in the deeply ingrained notion to Tibetan such. This origin of the Tibetan kings, the view that are descended from the king of the Mahabharata, and the second, the view of the descended from the Lichivia royal lineage. Although these different explanations at the text, the view that the Tibetan king's origin from the India is more widely accepted today. The origin of Tibetan religion and culture at the first, while Buddhism generally origin in India, the Tibetan Buddhism has unique origin as a lineage that uphold to the Nalanda tradition. When Buddhists first spread to Tibet, Nalanda was still at the flourishing. However, during this later the revolt to Buddhism in Tibet, Nalanda had a decline and Vikamshila was thriving. As all at the resort, many scholars to Vikamshila came to Tibet using the look like this stamp. This stamp is Nalanda logo or stamp. All the Tibetan monasteries on top look like that. Yeah, this is a very example. The Tibetan at the monasteries as come from the Nalanda. Yeah. Then also to summarize, Buddhism spread in India at the three great monastery university emerged to succession at first the Takshila, then Nalanda, and finally Vikamshila. As Vikamshila declined, it is lost about the Kashi Penjin Chodin. Is last about Vikamshila. He came to Tibet from the one Buddhist flourishing in Tibet with the Sacha's fame supplies for later. As the Gelug tradition developed the reputation of the three great monasteries states grew. This progression from the initial spread of the Buddhism in the world through Takshila and Nalanda, then Vikamshila and Sarja, and finally to the three great monastery state of the Gelug tradition represent a unique way of the maintenance and unbroken lineage of the Buddhism teaching and special way which Tibetan preserve Indian culture. Secondly, regarding the culture and knowledge, the five great Sanskrit grammatical tetraes and still are taught without the interaction of these days. And these are the grammar of the Panini, Kalapa, and Chandakomi, and Manjushri, and Saraswati. As for the literature of the potteries, there are various Buddhism poems such and the bilingual, which fulfill feelings at the three Jataka says and Avidana as a story as well as non-Buddhist poems like Cloud Message, Megaduta, maybe. Moreover, since the matter of the pottery Kavayadrasha was translated into Tibetan, these have been over more than 300 different Tibetan commentaries on it, both extensive and other concise. Similarly, these are many texts translated from the Indian and on engineering, the medicine, and Bihatama, and prosody and other subjects based on the the factors. Tibetan mentally, as a thought, we are nurtured in the mentality and thought of the Asian Indian culture, which had led to information of the unique Tibetan identity we see today. Looking again at the development of the Tibetan thought, this earlier Indian thought was the Habin civilization, and the thought is currently undefined after the Ken Aryan culture, and from which the Vedda developed, and followed by the Burmanism and Jainism and Buddhism. It can be said that the foundation of the nurturing these three religions and was Aryan culture and Vedic knowledges. And from this perspective, this initial seed from the current Tibetan thought, we are Aryan and Vedic knowledge. These are certainly the difference between current knowledge and ancient knowledges. This is as a nature of the historical development and change. Then what is the Indian thought? Roughly at the cycle of life, at the comics perspective, and non-self or self, dharma, at meditation, yoga, liberation, logic, non-violence, as a unity of all, inner science and middle ways. These are the same way of the thinking as Tibetans. Based on these above factors, the then current situation of Tibetan has emerged. First, the conflict between Tibetan and Chinese is in one aspect, and ideologically, the conflict. The Tibetan thought is connected to Buddhism philosophy and related worldwide, which has led to a divergence in thinking between Tibetan and Chinese. And second, the conflict between Tibetan and Chinese, also cultural conflict. This because Tibetan preservation and promotion of Indian culture has been seen as an obstacle to the development of Chinese culture. This situation has led to an amplified the clash of the different ideological and identities as between Tibetan and China. When researching this origin of Tibetan history, culture, then strong influence of the Indian is clearly visible. This is not only a major factor in the formation of the Tibetan unique identity, but has also generally influence to the current state of Tibet-China relations. Clearly understanding this point is very helpful for gaining and deep understanding of Tibetan the current situation and the future development of major trajectory. This main task is to create standard LLM for ancient Tibetan and Indian cultures, as well as the Buddhist text. It is crucial that the LLM means large language model is free from the influence of other cultures. I'd like to discuss modern development, which I believe is crucial for humanity to understanding and the political for me and modern development as mean ethics and knowledge working together with technology as tool to accelerate progress and improve accuracy. Now that is where AI come in. This is transcation happening. We human are teaching our ability to computer system and the written AI with this word allowed to us women to development even more. What we thinking we talk at 10 years to develop now, it will only take a year or even at months because of AI. AI is born of the Tibetan language and culture, explaining it is rich and ensuring it is preservation. Then Monlam therefore focus on using AI and other digital tools to protect and promote Tibetan and Himalayan culture and follow the Dalai Lama's guidance. I remain another of the culturalists at the time I met His Holiness Dalai Lama, who advised to support have been invaluable when I presented him with a Monlam funds, and he encouraged me to the collaboration with the mind individual with the support of the Dalai Lama Trust. We have achieved significant and success in the development of the Monlam dictionary, the various font and AI tools and the digital library projects. The Monlam IT Research Center has served the Tibetan and Himalayan language or culture by current about 37 software programs over many years for free. As for the Monlam Grand Tibetan Dictionary, it contains 223 volumes and among the largest dictionary in the world. Similarly, Monlam AI include translation AI or speech recognition AI, text-to-speech, and optical character recognition AI. We disputed in society last year and continually had been improved. We are creating a large Tibetan dictionary library in collaboration with the Central Tibetan Administration and Wardwani AI. Our responsibility is use the power of the artificial intelligence to preserve, manage, and promote the unique characteristics of the Asian, Tibetan, and Indian cultures without losing a distance of the future. In all of this, one of the largest the contribution to all this has been the Tibetan youth working with the more than 90% of our workforce. Our youth, and it is thought that they are hard work. We can confidently state that we can achieve more and plan big for future. The Monlam's feature is feel is to the like a highway. Where communications, household, and organization such as a Tibetan house, or even individual like you and you can utilize the product and the service that we provide, and it is will make you a knowledge and understanding of the Tibetan and the Himalayan culture better and thought. This we can preserve and promote the culture and that as we all love and care for. How do we make sure that the highway of the Monlam is a slim and great for future? That is thought the research and develop LLP, a language model, LLM, large language model, and the VR technology, virtual reality. We are determined to make a sex of this. Our responsibility is to use the power of the artificial intelligence to preserve and manage and promote the unique characteristics of Asian, Tibetan, and Indian culture without losing the distance feature. Yeah. Then thank you for your attention. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask me because my English is very limited. So I hope you understand in, I don't know. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Venerable Dr. Lobsang Monlam, for the very insight of his topic, which is on bridging millennia, technological preservation and promotion of Indian Tibetan knowledge system, and also about the Monlam AI. As we all know that this is the century of information technology, and we have advanced to the level of technology which a human, the mankind has never ever expected. But still, we are moving on with the advancement in the technology, and we are very delighted, Venerable Dr. Geshe Lobsang Monlam, that we have also come up with a technology which says Monlam artificial intelligence, and the very objective of the Monlam AI seems to be very totally boundless, and it and the very objective of this today's topic and the very objective of this Monlam artificial intelligence seems to be very helpful, and it is really going to be very resourceful in the advancement of the Tibetan fonts, alphabets, and the technology, as well as the preservation of the very Tibetan culture. Well, for that, I would like to convey my heartiest gratitude to Venerable Geshe. And now, I would like to give this opportunity to all the participants who have joined with us today. So with this, we'll have a question answer session, and I would like to emphasize that with this question answer session, all of you must be having a lot of different questions in your mind, and I would like to request all of you to take this very opportunity to ask, endless questions, so that you can enlighten your doubts and you can enlighten your knowledge. We have 30 minutes of question answer session, and I would like to request you all of you to make the best use of it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, whether it is about the technological preservation, or maybe about the Indian Tibetan knowledge system, or it could be about the information technology as well, because I think in this century information technology has advanced a lot, and every one of us has been using it, utilizing this technology. So I think all of you might probably in your mind there could be some questions popping up. So if you have this, I would request you again to kindly ask questions. Anyone who has questions, they can raise their hands so that we can pass on the mic to you. Anyone? Joyji? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Geshe, so much. I'm not even computer literate really, but I've been listening to a lot of courses, master classes on ChatGPT and AI. And as an editor, I learned that the kind of work we would take about 3 months to 1 year to go through and produce a book can be done in a very short time now, because the ChatGPT and other things, they scour the entire World Wide Web. The whole web they can just do in a few minutes, whereas we would take like years to go through them. So I'm thinking, for example, when you think of Tibetan texts, ancient Sanskrit or Tibetan texts, say Buddhist texts, then there are many commentaries on them. Now, in order for AI to go through those commentaries, apart from the language modeling that you need, are they all digitized? Because it would need to be on the web for us to use AI to access them, or to get AI to help us, make something out of that.
Yeah, that is yeah, because yeah, thank you. And the large language model is very powerful, and look like ChatGPT. Also, are many large language models available around the world. Then also we preparing the Tibetan large language model. It may be coming next at a few months. Yeah, they can very easily you can okay, sorry, then you put in okay, this to Phoebe Nalola Nanchu Deshi Japsha Jarabako, or this is less Hojigani, Jonathan the Toilet, was to Tonton Youngers, Pena Inchigani, then the Youngers, right? Yeah.
So what Geshe is trying to say is that we are confident that the Tibetan LLM would come and it'll simplify all the scriptures in Buddhism and make it more comprehensible to general public, where earlier it might not be comprehensible, but now due to AI and the power of comprehension, it might be comprehensible to everyone.
Then also we have already the mission translation at the Tibetan to English, and it's model at the best for Tibetan and English for the Asian the Tibetan or Indian knowledges. It's very good. Dang 저기 난슈 당 어두디 인지강을 파주라라 단당 저기 몰람 AI 미시 트랜슬레이션 됐다 약슈차기여서 이나 디단당 저기 차선 주바든데 게 말해서 문트는 야르지 동그래 디다 판토 지금 용거였어요.
So if you browse in the internet, you will find Monlam.ai, and if you go through that, there's a feature called Monlam Translate. And in there, if you translate Buddhist text through various benchmark scores, Monlam Translate has the best translation in terms of Buddhism-related texts. So if you translate something from Sanskrit to English, or Sanskrit to Tibetan, or Tibetan to English, or vice versa, it provides the best results.
Yeah. Then another one is we have another model as OCR, the optical character recognition. Okay. And the
So
나 지고래 나지 된다디 OCR 디기다 익천닝바 나로도 지수 도양나도 나가지 인트로션 버레스 근데 로직이 나가지 강의듯이 상마세 그랬지.
So there's another feature in the Monlam AI website, which is called the Monlam OCR. OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. What this does is that it allows computer to read what is inscribed on the manuscripts, be it in a formal script or any kind of script. So once the computer comprehends it, what it allows us to do is make sure that it is in easier language, or maybe it could be allowed for translation. So it makes life easier for all of us.
Yeah, right now we have more than 30 million pages in Tibetan, but almost 100 written on the wood block. It's very difficult to transform to digital. Yeah, maybe next few years when we have done, it's then translated to another language. It's very easily. Then also the LLM is coming few months. It's very colorful. Hello, 장동정보다 렌즈 좀 되시고 되고 얘기했다. Yeah.
So
So, Geshe, this could mean that all the great teachers of all the lineages, you would have to digitize all the sungbums, which have the commentaries or the
Yeah.
sadhanas or whatever they used to use.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That will take, I mean, you can use AI to do that.
Yeah. And both at a human or AI. Right now we're working together. Then maybe after 1 year, then the AI can do 80% and at the human at the 20% correct. Then after 3 years, then at the 90% or 99%. Yeah, then easily. Yeah. Yeah. 야, 안디 성분도 상망하지고 교육경의 영성을 다 지하긴 더 버렸어요.
So the main goal is to digitize and put everything within the Tibetan knowledge system and the Himalayan knowledge system inside the language model, so that the answer that it gives is accurate, fast, and responsive.
근데 뒤지 보면 이게 뭐야 말해서 저기 다죽샤죠 쉬운만 거여서 창만데 양 이게를 밥도 그랬어요.
So what we talked about earlier is just letters, words, and those things, and it doesn't encapsulate that as well. So what we are doing in addition is also record and also transcribing all the speech given by Tibetan geshes, lamas, and all the speech will be transcribed and be made available through speech-to-text features and text-to-speech features.
야, 단단히 간지 이야기 주다 대가지고 이게 탭자고로 봐서. 근데 뭐 로직 나로라 드네 탭자고 말해서 칸이 셔되는 거기 렌데 그런 게랑 간이 겨울에서 야.
What we are striving for in future is that for now, when we are searching for Buddhist scriptures or manuscripts in an online system, it is very hard. So what we are striving is that we don't even have to type the scriptures down if we want to find it. We can just speak about it. And what we are striving for is that once we speak about it, we can digitize that and make sure that it's searchable through speech as well.
Yeah, and did you do speech translations? Yeah, the
So speech translation through Tibetan is a reality through our models.
Yeah,
Tibetan to other languages?
Yeah.
So, like recently, some months ago, His Holiness was in Eastern India, and there was a translation in Nepali and a simultaneous translation in some other language and English, of course. So then I was wondering, AI would really benefit that kind of transcription.
Yeah. 자기장 와이파이 되려면 Okay.
So right now, the model that we have, the AI model that we have, it works between English and Tibetan, but simultaneously that's out in public. Simultaneously, we are also working with different Asian languages like Pali, Sanskrit, Vietnamese, Nepalese, like you mentioned. Once we have these models developed, when a person is speaking, we'll have simultaneously AI do different translations in different languages. What we are testing right now is our strengths are in Sanskrit, Pali, and Tibetan. As we improve over the years, we are sure that we will be up to speed in quality and accuracy in the other languages as well. So AI is probably in the future we'll be able to do that. I don't think we will need translators in the future.
Speak in Tibetan for a bit, and let's see if they can translate.
Nema.
Okay.
Tashitele.
Oh, hello. Tashitele. Ta tarin gawan la peki uchunso.
here what you have example is you need to speak and then you need to speak, then press the button, and then it translates, right? The model that this is the current model that we have. What we're working on is that does it simultaneously. So as I'm speaking, you have transcripts happening coming down, and you can choose the language that you want. Likewise, the speech and text and speech, what it does is I can type and I can have someone hear. I can hear someone speak, or I can do it just not for text, but I can do it for other languages as well. So the machine is, at the other end, as I'm speaking in English, the machine is speaking in Tibetan at the other end, but not having transcription. But I can have both. So it's just not between English and Tibetan, but it's in any other languages.
Yeah. And this and they should do the now to Tawakashi getting also Hindu Jamna, Pege Jamna, Pas Sama Gurati, Yungus, Chopa Yungus.
So right now the feature is quite restrictive. We can only see the Tibetan and it doesn't simultaneously translate into English or any other language. We currently have those models in the machine translation system, but it is not available right now through the speech to text. But in November, a new version will come out. And what it does is that the speech will be simultaneously translated, and that's what we hope to do. And it makes life much easier for people who don't speak Tibetan but actually wants to know more about the Tibetan language or the culture.
Yeah, I'm twice, but
Okay, so any other questions? Okay.
Actually, this platform is very much great and awesome, and a very genius idea. Thank you for sharing this with us, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to get to know about this. My question is, does this AI platform have this capability to give the respond to the questions, or offer the references to the people who are searching in Buddhism as well? Because for me, for example, so many people like me, they are only English speaker people, and they don't know anything about Buddhism. They may have questions there or not.
Yes, but we not publish right now. Then maybe in November is we opening the chart. Yeah, and the konda jata tata yonga marte ine the consume yahuchagres penang the teacher.
We are developing the technology to encapsulate all the scriptures that Geshe previously reminded, like the 30 million pages that we have. Currently, the model is under a lot of testing so that it's safe to use for all of us. So by November, I hope it'll come up. November 3rd is where we usually announce like new features and those sort of things. And I hope we could have that ready for all of the practitioners. So this is the beta. It will make a lot of mistakes, but let's just see.
Yeah.
This is under beta testing, so please be aware that it might spout false information. Yeah, and the rendering is a little bit slow as well. But,
Yeah.
we haven't paid the full.
Yeah, but this is you question or other language, then the answer is Tibetan right now. But next come in other languages, like this one, and we did answer him like this one. I copied Control 0 to like this one, Control V to or to English, yeah. Yeah. The chair down, the zoom the chair down. Oh, the nature is
So it's going on.
That is good. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Dinala Bena digital Perang Zerevitz Latayam is free to be all.
So I'm going to ask this question to Mr. Marsala. Tanda dijik songnang imba, tanda di ngonzo future la translator tinte ta kog mare cheche songnang swa.
La.
Future la, mawa ba translator tinte kog mare cheche songnang swa. Di insna ta ngonzo ge artificial intelligence di huge develop chasna mi ngonzo ge lega mangbo huge short to be ore. Tinte kala ta ngonzo challenge chegi yor ngonzo lo tonglin chiala khande da.
Yeah. Yeah. And 당연히 벽에 접속하라든지 여러분 야, 네 강의 데레 한쪽이 주어도에 갑자기 네 강의 용거 당연히마다 로지 강의 시에 나와서 트릴리 당번 점링 간을 랩도 저한테 다 하나 내요래. 아고 사바지 랩도 다 내가 인바 먹고식 그런 식의 쇼트 거 봐고 하듯이 이내 도도디 가르쳐서나 주어 미기 군코 맞아 버도로와 내가 저서야지 어머니 지단이 디레 완전 저 미기 군고도 저वे는 내가 저래 디지도 먼저 그저 추지 마요 그저 저거 있는 디쪽이 내가 말을 줘야다 아니 그거 쳐를 줘야다 힘으로 직디래 다 지당한 게도 나한테 근데 이거디 갑자기 이거디 땅에 방아서 따셔니 드네 다른 사람 줘야기 내가 더 저러 봐고 다 못하셔 남주셔 줘야지 봐고 디기서로 직접 있고 적세기 전에 또 도도로 시면은 열지 생기는 적세가 하는 저러 봐고 아주 나치나래 더라래 담보디 백가와 타면 숨내가서 소사 그래서 대시 직접 해야 봐고 그런 거 쉬워진 거 그래서 안 드네 상하기 쇼들 랩도 아니 답시想不起 세제 아니 나 저랑 지당이 미직 세직 루지로 상하게 두고 그래서 저기 problem 직들 더디 나시 업데이트 직 당샤 안 드네 다 적신다 착신다 늦을 랩도 다 단다로 추는 단다스 자상이 그래서 되고 답디 상마들다 적세가는 쉐고 근데 송사 다 야지스는 적세가는 저거 여도 다 직샘체 다 강에다 든 정신이 용그래 이내 다 잡로를 커대버이나 다 강에 되기 때문에 다 카드는 로는 전 내가 빼만도 빼는 거지 라발라 커버 렘니 내가 빼만도 모두 용도금다고 커버 기념하게 내가 먹고 싶다 그 치료 걸어갖고 내가 먹고 싶 매워 차고 그래 이내 내가 싸워 먹고 싶지 내가 나 뒤에 대시 잡시다 인지가 yeah.
So the concern is valid that people might lose jobs in the near future, but this concern has been going on since millennia. So let's say since the start of the Industrial Revolution, with the introduction of machines that has huge capabilities to do work that are faster, more efficient, and it requires less effort. People have lost job over that, and people have made a fuss over it. But then with the time, people have forgotten about it. So and people losing jobs, we are creating more jobs because of it. So with the sense that, you know, if AI comes over and people losing jobs, AI also creates new jobs, which will make life more easier, which will make people's life much more faster as well. So Geshe gave an anecdote, so that usually when we first came to Dharamsala, like in 1960s, people used to travel to Dharamsala from Delhi by like force or by like some other kind of means, which are like slow, tedious, might be time consuming. But now due to technology, people travel through like bus, people travel through plane, and it makes life easier. So whatever we can do to make life easier, and whatever means we can try to achieve it through, I think it's valid. And with the question of jobs being lost, that's the nature of time. Jobs will come, jobs will go, and that's
그래서 로미 군고 가족이 삼노 군고대 맞아 버더라 작신대 맞아 버더 내가 저러야 말이야.
and it's a Buddhist philosophy that, you know, as long as humans have needs, there will always be jobs. So it'll continue the cyclic existence of jobs being there, jobs being lost. And and also Geshe gave a really good anecdote. I just want to say that because this is, I think, more Buddhist, is that Geshe taught about how when we are trying to we all do Buddhism to gain enlightenment, right? So to gain enlightenment, there's a saying that we need to work hard for multiple lives, not even multiple, I'm sorry, thousands of lives. And across thousands of lives, through merits, through good merits, we will attain enlightenment. Now, through speed and through Vajrayana, we can say that, you know what? We can attain enlightenment in one lifetime. And that sounds dubious, but that's how the scriptures work. And now through Dzogchen teaching, we can also say that, you know, we can attain lifetime, we can attain enlightenment right here, right now, if we got the means to do it. So it's like in Buddhism as well, there's this element of speed, and I think we should embrace it. And I think all of us would be better off with it.
And then it's chicken on the Yama Mizu Kalishu, Jango, then the Mango Jamago Chatra, younger reservoir. In the easy mean drawing the Kali Jam, the Jango, Jumsing Maravas, yeah.
Effort is good in certain cases. It allows us to learn, but needless efforts, needless toiling over something that can be done easier, that should be avoided. And that's what I feel technology does, and that's why I have adopted it fully.
Yeah.
No, sir. Any young condition chicken. The ngonso di translate che tinang lola da capture do chicken Microsoft Translate chicken. Any nijar Google Translate chicken che any Monlam AI Translate chicken to che sum ngarang this choda do stai. Kagi translate yap chi to ta cherwa. AI di yaksho do nang to wa. This samata nijar tanda Google Translate chicken yore. Tini wal chik data to patu sharing tinte yore kandere la.
No, the mixegi data sharing ke omare. The omare. Ina jang Google tang as about debata yore. Ina mission translation kala mixegi mozugi data share che the omare. Ina ya kwanza Google ki thatola yobe gyupja yongso ko kigir bada. Tinde roda 먼저 지금 미세게 야구가 되지 당 먼저 미션 translation 비다 인지가 받았다 숙잡네 로 계획적이지 가능하죠 숙잡을 받았다 못해 되게 뒤지도 먼저게 받대 비다 인지가 지금 dig네 근데 사야만 거지 아마 dig네 식체 안 되네 당 알아서 근거대 가르잖아 간접 먼저들 로고야 말하고 구글 거지대야 먼저 이게 비익이 챘다 야나 계획적 미션 translation 소자 받는데 말해 Nyama ina Google intagarang renga zin rotan mo to khosole tabshi to yama and tishu the large language models ki to ko the palam single ta le lakba ta tni subtai joji khoju large language model chambu shoji sir te saya sumji ji khojogi karsore scan ta che and dilu du ta khru shanshin gi khu level na la ke tra mun ta sama ko ha ko gi chazaro ti chazaro ji ko ko di chi go re 미지기 콜라 유칭이 sur도 소고고야 말다. 간선 그게 이 상황 신거로 봐. 아니 신기 여도 다디 디저셔하는 그 저셔로. 드릴까 땅이 거치 겨울 듣더니 거기 계기 담라데 이규치도 그 단다기 띠 쳇도 거나 이규치도 소교드네 말해. 이나 다디 강이 같아 거서 잡로기 따라 숙침부 쇼저다디 다봐 말해. 항상야만 것이. But because dollar trillion or doesn't tire that any time of them. The time the digi Jupcha de Shukro, that's also in Jirwaka, Shuk Chetaro, Dinaneja Arigi, Taki, dance of not on that Shetan Jerwaka, Dishuk Chambuja, Tamazu Pie, Karimugo Hajina Kola Shukji Terrorta, Kuti Shuk Chetarachin, the Mida Chikpore, when a Negi Lass and Shigmidaka. 시대 가르치는 아주 베베게 지금 삼노동단다 계제시단 상호 숙체로 딱 그 가르쳤으나 이지 숙체다라지 벽에 시대신 거다 인지지로 벽에 야고시 납샤에서로 이래고 어디 잡을 전에 딱 고저기 쳇년에 계획질로 소개하 말 받고 디지도 망발에 디강에 되기래 아니와도 다는 나가서 빈다도 소로나 그 죽자기 잡으시오라 죽자기 딱 가나라는 렌저 선산 받대 딱 그 겸이지 고사로 시키는 저쪽으로 구글도 내 말이야. 그 따도 가서 건다 가래 라는 룩샤고 그랬다고 저기 니 처벌 찍래. 안때는 딱 아주도 엔조어 첨부 쉬우려 그래. 딱 아주기 디 통지막이 뭐는 트랜슬레이션인데 디 LLM 그 콘톤을 내게 딱 뒤로당 사와 차가는 거로 바꿔 어디지도 이내 딱 아주기 비위 아버지 차고나 줍자디는 가샤망한테 배가는 샤고 그랬다. 아니 그 샴바도 들 영어 샤면은 별기 삼는 당당다 기제셔 다지 걸어 받고 어디 가는 되기래. 뒤치도 오늘 나 뒤에 삼성 뒤딱 오늘 아주 개인승이 미리 전던 이래서야 되던 오늘 해샤고 그거 레벨은 뒤 숙차에 넣고 다른 뒤 차르기도 하고 세자 당연히 만족스 온들이. 오케이.
So the question was about the different translation models available for Tibetan to English. The question was that there are 3 different models currently who translates English to Tibetan and vice versa. The first one is Microsoft Bing. The second one is Google. And the third one is Monlam AI. And what I don't think he is trying to impress us, but he's saying that Monlam translates the best. So thank you. And he's saying that are there any like data sharing between Google and Monlam, because the performance have been really similar. So so Geshe-la's answer to that was that there hasn't been any formal agreement between Google and Monlam as per data sharing, but we have worked in the past in ensuring that Tibetan language and culture is prevalent within Google. And within data sharing, Google has the huge repository that it has in its search engine. So whatever data that Google has, it'll use to train its LLM. And Google's LLM, which the name of the Google LLM is Palm 2. And through Palm 2, what they have been able to do is that they have been able to introduce not just Tibetan language, but many more language inside its translation model. So now Google doesn't have to do like tedious work like we at Monlam do. What we at Monlam do is we take sentences, we tokenize them, and then we try to like translate through them and make sure that they make sense, and then through so on and so forth. What Google does is that Google translates it through their LLM, which is much more simpler, but it requires a lot of money. Google, I think, has spent almost
1 trillion.
Yeah, almost like hundreds and hundreds of billions to make sure that the translation model is there. And so now Monlam AI is also developing, and by November we hope that we have some sort of a large language model that can also do this work and make life easier for us. With regards to Microsoft Bing, it's completely different. Microsoft has been notorious in using data from like the Chinese Communist Party. So it's like a Chinese man speaking Tibetan. So if you feel like translating through the Microsoft Bing, it's more of like the Chinese mouthpiece. For Google, it's not that case. They have been using all the data, so it might be better. And for Monlam, it's just our data, which is genuinely Tibetan and has been cross-checked by experts and domains specific experts as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just occurred to me, I don't know if you are also using the large language model for Chinese, but I'm sure people in Singapore and maybe Vietnamese is very close to Chinese also, but also Singapore and other places. So I was just thinking this would be a great, in the past, Chinese emperors saw the land of Tibet as a place of dharma kings. And sounds like a great opportunity to be able to give the dharma back to the Chinese, particularly from the Tibetan view, because even like Xuanzang, who came here in 7th century, he was looking for the mind-only school. I mean, his work was taken to China and very much revered, but that ended with the Chittamatra. the mind only. So the later development of 8th, 9th, 10th century of Nagarjuna's thought, that perhaps Chinese doesn't have. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about Chinese texts, Chinese Dharma text.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Chidang Yamagi Janang Tande, Janani, Tanando, the Jadan Lodge Restaurant. In a Janala, Nachu Koroji Tarde, in a Kuzugi, Kaptovchini, Nachu Lakala, some of the Najuvaji Temni, chicken, Howard the Damazugi, Totu, and it in its summer button, Tuzukurpe, Ranjing Kojoro, Shares, the Gomja, Aniko Korsore. And dig on yeah.
So, with regards to Chinese in the ancient times and the Chinese in the modern times, there have been a huge gap in evaluating the people there and now. I think what is happening is that the Chinese in general, for now, they have been quite diminutive in comprehending Buddhist logic and
logic, then philosophy.
Yeah, and Buddhist logic and Buddhist philosophy. So they have been quite low in comprehending those kind of systems and high on certain different Buddhist systems.
Jebi Julia, cup to do Pele Janak Nachugi, Lamata, Kewata, Travatane Mango, the Hashansi, Mangoyores, and in cup to do Pyogi Gavos, Tisontis and Kablia, and a garland Kewa Dedisha, and Kozu, Parula. Karso Zubachi, Suyaga, and the Janak Nachu, the Penny Pet Chasan Pishares, and the Pigo, let them say Chitanta Mango, research Chapsigan, Yertine, to do Hashan, the Gomja, some Matan, Dead Jomata, Lobjonja, the Trigan Chicken Met, and Pyogi, Janak, and Nachu Chasan Papini, and it runs to Len, Taco Tashin, and there is on the Chidangi, Janaka Nachu, Shukin, the Pel Melsurus, Tatipani. Yeah.
Okay. In the 8th centuries, the Chinese sent over teachers, we call them Hashangs in Tibetan, over to Tibet to propagate the Chinese perspective on Buddhism and the Chinese way of teaching Buddhism. So the 37th king of Tibet, Tizon Deuze, he had a great debate within Tibetan scholars and Chinese scholars. So now what happened was that the Chinese scholars were trounced by the Tibetan scholars within logic and philosophy, because what the Tibetans were looking for were more kind of logic and philosophy, and what the Chinese were offering were more sort of meditation and staying still kind of things.
And come to do the Lobang Kamalashila, Dakozo, the Umitawa Shukchimush killing and Gobulu Gijino, and Kozo Getan, and Kozo Takara, Subajab Chukche, and Jana the Samapi, and teacher Chitangi, Janola, Umitawa, Yeti Yore, Kwanzi actions in a Simsambi Tawa de Modo, Chitangi, Umitawa de Tindigi, Lobjanche, Shukchimush around the Yaman, and Chitani, philosopher, Lobjanche, Corte, Janola, Pakabin, Pecho Charis, Koranshinki. Ah.
So now the Chinese were sent back to China, and the Tibetans, primarily like scholars like Kamalashila, what they were propagating in Tibet were the Nagarjuna thought, which centered around the middle way approach. So that the Chinese couldn't afford, the Chinese couldn't comprehend, and also couldn't propagate to the Tibetans. So those were the difference. Now, why the Chinese systems of like Buddhism were banished in Tibet there might be a political lens to it, but what I feel is the main point is that there were stark philosophical differences between the Chinese way of propagating Buddhism and the Tibetan way of propagating and understanding Buddhism.
직들이 아니 자나게 지당 가서 헛간 되는 치줄기 넘버디 조스미어서 그저 지당 여미 시가로 되는데로 저래 되지도 저 대야로다 줘봐야 고치야다 샤마자야다 다 지거로 바꿔 치줄기 넘버디 자나고랑 로단로 슈브로 슈여 바바도 양 가져 먼저 쳐도 이네 조조 삼노다 삼노간 저 직도 쳐버던데 제 얘기를 거니 봐 지당이 미 삼노 당셔져로
Okay, so what the Chinese were mainly focused on in terms of Buddhism was to look Buddhist. So like staying still, not eating meat, and also acting well. But the Tibetans were a little bit off. So they might act erratic, they might eat meat, but what they were inside was that they were truly Buddhists in their way of thinking and their philosophy.
야, 디지그래 안 되기 근데 간하기 그 단다 컨피스가 콘스 콘즈기 럭션 디기 숙진지게요래 안 되는 말렙디 코즈 겨워도 그냥 숙진 간하가 줄을 lep다 다 벽도다 안된 독세디 마요는 하버도 다 상하게 세토렙디 간하나 싫어진 떨토야 말스 지당 오늘 지는 상하 땅보다 간하다리 이나 치스 디 숙천녀마다 신부진 로토야 말스야.
So the Chinese were also influenced greatly by Confucianism and also by the emperors. So in the meantime, it might be Tang dynasty. So the Tang emperors might have influenced the Buddhism a lot. That makes it a little bit corrupted. So those were the factors in not having much of the Chinese Buddhism within Tibet. And
그게 야, 나도 좀 대가서 사실 리서치 때문에서 다 되니 또또 디리제 남추싱이 담보라니 이거는 가서 로지랑 가는 셰베는 담보라니 세토드네 말해서 그런데 좀 야르지다는 민남실데 야야야 도저저 그거는 그런 문이 타는데 디리레서 디치도 맞아 아 야, 맞아 루그래. 아주 집자대 있다나 저거대 대왕기 집자대 배웠다는 아주 대한 루그래스라 직대다 때려.
so the Chinese, even though the Chinese way of Buddhism and the Chinese practicing Buddhism might be different, a little bit different from the Tibetan way and the Tibetan Buddhism, but what we are striving for, and what, as you have said, that it must be a really good present to give to the Chinese who are interested in Buddhism. We are striving to have the Chinese language within our AI models. It is hard to get like the Chinese data, and it might be corrupted as well. So what we are striving for is to get data from Taiwan. And what we are trying to do is to have that inside our system and propagate it throughout the Southeast Asia community who are comprehending Buddhism through Chinese language.
Yeah.
졸라시나. 니처럼 아메리게 소송 레간직 소셜 쪽에 클라우드 AI 레직. 디나고 답변하시는 저기 베라직이야 루체 따디 독도직 소라스나 국소샤야로다. 아니 대가래 냥아기 동직티라이 인 냥아 동직티샤야다. 야 미네 배차시나 소강원진 길레콜 티라스나 소강원진 길레콜 되야로다. 딘데직의 피처치 소낭 샤르와. 안 단다 멜람 나올래야 디기 피처 딘데 단다 유나 근데이나
야 라운디 단다 직된 소고 아 디나레 강점 요래 배나 콜라지 여름절에 되게 디나나 집 대인지가 되는 배기하면 여름절에 또 같이 들어치럽다 그때 뒤로 이나 디기 단다 아주 디나라 급자디 싫어본 걸로 막 서다치 걸어봐고 뒤지도 딱디 클라우드를 야가지 용어지를 얘기하러 왔다. 지난 클라우드 또기도 항상 침부래. 클라우드 가장 그 저기 트레이닝 때도 그 어리돌로 사이 가스기 시기도 트레이닝 때 노선 쭉 볼라. 지도 배침부래. 그 컴퍼니 그 백엔드 아마존기 펀딩 저거 받고 다고 지도 배침부러 왔다 그래서 디지도 디지온데 그 가르쳐 그래. 지단기 다돌아요 되었던 데 샤망고지라 따니 거기 표백이다 냥아티고 있는데 다 가르치고는 거기 대시대 경험 그래고 이내 따단 디나네요 그 타기 쉬지들에 그 자위기 급참 먼저디 배기 매도 답변한 건저기 있다나 배정 가서 지도 죽집에는 직던 더 해봐 치기 뒤는 앞에 배기 때 숨지식기 라바여 주치 드니지던 다티 가서 먹는 뒤쪽이 yarchitogro an tijidan ta khola nga ju jongda tebe chone nyanga thada ndire res ani nga ju pena primitive ju ki thanga so la nyen ju gyamna gyapta ndire res ta khola di nga ju template thot di lobjang te gro wa ko an khazu ya ta ani ji shu nga ju meng ko la sha na ji ko la sha na 어떤 안에서 리빈이 주가 뒤쳐는 큰 갑장 배짱마야 고 차이래 자기도 그 근데 디저트로 지는 대시 얘기를 고 이년아치 들어질랍고 그러구나 아 여름 며칠 때봐 이년아치 들어질랍다 그 지시야 그래도 그 니는 단도 디나라고 삼삼은 스키제 삼삼에 양측로도 양 측기 저러도 지고 돼야 그래 뱉거라
So, so we are aware of the developments in Claude. Claude has been pushed forward by the funds from Amazon, and it has been performing very well in the Tibetan language. What it is able to do with the Tibetan language is really commendable. What we are trying to do is, for the Tibetan language only, is to perform better than Claude. What Claude is, in essence, is how an American would respond to a Tibetan query, how an American who is well-versed in Tibetan knowledge system, well-versed in Tibetan language, would respond in Tibetan. So there might not be any flaws, but it lacks something like an essence which cannot be deciphered in just by reading it. So what we are trying to do is to have like the model with the majority of the data being Tibetan, and then followed by English or any sort of language, so that in essence it remains more Tibetan. And we have been testing it. This is the beta phase. Once the test comes out in November, if it's successful, we plan to launch it, so that, you know, what you get is more of like the Tibetan way of connecting sentences, more of like Tibetan way of grammar, more of like Tibetan way of writing letters. So those sort of things, which in essence will show that this is actually a Tibetan chatbot.
지비신이 레와진 선럽근라 차바이 리치니 깨라나 태어다 코디 직제 나타나티 링스 통신이 도와고 아무도 자비기 전에 직이 저러다 기고도 돼야 그래 아니나 다디 주왕제 단단 도통 조심 버려 코디 형도 양아제 다녀가 도통 거지 걸로로 와고 근데 용그래
So it has to be taught like the Tibetan grammatical rules, what we have in Tibetan, like Sumta. It has to be taught, and once it's been taught, it actually gives the result.
And the
Tibetan logic as well. So those sort of things, what we are trying to imbue in this chatbot. And what we are aiming for is not just for the Tibetan language or the Tibetan knowledge systems. I think that's too narrow a thing to be striving for. So what we are trying to do is to have the ancient Indian knowledge systems as well, and also the Himalayan lineages, like the knowledge that they have, the boundless knowledge that they have, also inside it, so that those heritage, those cultures, those languages are not lost within.
And then I'm lineage they must yarn which have to be there about this. The yarn jaki now we reach Capson Yatita yarn you consistent and dig on Manze Tarash into the Shukshimbo, the Nazi Yamakaja Chitty. And did the top of Shivik so just to about did what you mean? No.
And we are also mindful about the fourth commitment of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, which is to revive the ancient Indian culture and to promote it to the best possible extent. And what we are trying to do it is through the digital means promote and propagate the ancient Indian knowledge systems that India has so kindly given to the world and to Tibetans specifically.
No.
I have one question. It's like it may sound a bit irrelevant, but I want to ask you that question. Like I was really astonished by like this invention. Like Tibetan can be like written in like seconds and something, like ChatGPT. But my question is that like if we you have told me before that we can write a story, like just giving can you write a Tibetan story and it will give all the stories, right? So like I just my question is that like is there any plagiarism software to detect like whether it's written by the AI or like a people?
The Rotani Chig Yore Chikans Nazuke Independent research paper Mama Sarjo Denini Kuma Jabinet Jabime Kuranga Hakure Roko Digi go Tatajana Karina Chikana Tiki Data Diarbako did you do the that deep part of the issue you took Shayana and Tandachi Paredum the Dutch over Kogi. Rotinich Tandachi Chikanji, or 6 months in a Tandachi Bachian Shambhala Dues, Tana Tatu Takoga. That Tanda Juru, that's Juru, not take or Locha Roko. And that's 6 months in another Telejan Lajuro, did Lavago, the Yigi teacher of this. Did I go? I love the drought is wet and Hago, dear what and drought. Ale Migi Sojo log Sojo Lavarwa. Did you cover that? Cultures and Google digits on Origi, Kibagarashim, Zumba, Begarashim, Shingaji, Koran Tonsar Midi. Any Tanda de Shambaji and security code security Chimachi, Tapchi, Tichurta. Tip to do any cause me, Mongo, Kiva Mongo, and Savage in the crew member Hako Manta. Meeting teacher run race gorta. Secure chick pochikan de gorta. In a code meeting she's on Lomago Sarva. Tanda Sour digital D me to your red lock to your rivers and a color cup of shuchagune. The music Yaman teach hard to say Taj or Jupan and did have enough Hako Tako. The search in Tondachi Boredum and do any Yigis Tako sick your the Chipochi redum and the data to Roko. The church you teach your red me to your son and the color cup of shusta.
I think the short answer is it's going to be very, very difficult to distinguish between AI, someone written by a person. An example that he gave was Google or a company that what it did was based on 4 books by one author, developed the 5th book. The 5th book was written by a machine. It was very difficult to distinguish whether it was written by the author or not. The author had passed away already, but then the 5th book came out. But that 5th book was based on the 4 books by that author, and it was like as the passed away author wrote it. So it's going to get very, very difficult to distinguish between a human and machine.
But in essence, a machine could actually decipher. So before AI, there has been like numerous websites, like academic websites like Turnitin.com, which has performed pretty well in deciphering whether an academic journal or an article has been plagiarized or not. With regards to AI, it has been harder, and it cannot be comprehended through like a virtual eye-to-eye basis examination, but through AI, I think it's a possibility that we can actually decipher whether it has been written by a computer, not an artificial intelligence system, or by human. It will be very hard, though. Yeah.
Gisela, there's one question from YouTube. One of the online participants is asking, how can you ensure the information presented by the AI is correct and in accordance with the Dhamma and not hallucination?
Yeah. Chitangi dire AI de la jabla kola temperature se jigre chitangi chani chebina and temperature de thor tangbena kanjong mojo shegi tako tang ngozum shi nyomba chan ko tamura shegi ro ko dina ni je ko yati temperature de ya parwina tamura she ta nyanga ro gyuse to tani joni mi samlo ta tindi ta khande khoran sam tindi shegi tako ta di ma pawina 아니 그것도 딱딱 되기래. 안 삼질로 뱃 마밥 샤바이나 딱 나는 집자 여버때 뭐또 거시라 지도 말고. 지단기 그랑 열러라 드니 그러다지 열다고. 드니 니버데 단단나 약고 세된 정원은 단단한 거 knowledge best and 디 갑로라고 익자고 콘도서 되야다 지거로 받고 뒤에 이는 그런서 당부 저한테더니 저랑이 소비 겨 적으면 다서는 나랑 오늘 전에 콩 아마 이겨도 거에서나 강삼 되게 됐던데 and the member 기타는 다 세된도 정말 리서치 이 비슷하나 당 knowledge graph and that 디기 갑로라 익차도 이 콘서스로 해줘로 어디 집에는 그 딱란 뒤때기다 뒤에 앵거 저 당도기 저 당당라 살리겠다고 뒤마다 관점 먼저 던질라고 되니 그 닝지부 쇼들이 셔야지 아니 단도 고좀 망고지다 잡는 피처 치고로 막 삼일이 되거든요 셔야겠다고 근데 거기 잡라라 템퍼처 생긴 뜻이야 직 빠래요 저
So to the question was about how to ensure the accuracy of data through AI and how Monlam would actually do it if later on the models come out with informations. So with regards to factual informations within AI, I think in layman terms, they could be like a temperature setup. So if we want more like higher frequency of words, it starts to generate more gibberish words just to fill in the words. So then it becomes more, I think, dubious in terms of factual understanding. But then if we tone down the frequency, the temperature becomes low. What it becomes in essence is that it gives out more factual information. And the second thing is just prompt engineering. So if in the prompt, what we try to put in, if we put in more like specific prompts asking the machine to be factual and also to give out the citations, it'll actually give out the citations. For Monlam and for many other things, to maintain the accuracy of the information, what we could do is that we could have knowledge-based information, so like knowledge graphs. So this will link each and every knowledge to each and every other knowledge so that they could link to each other. And what it gives out is more factual, and it could give out the citations as well. And that's what we are aspiring to do.
아니 저는 난주도에나 가리나고 대신 노르교다 주마들이 쿠시그래 가이잖아 그디 땅고 집자로 주나라 집자 노르교들이나 그때도 오시그라 이네 다 거기 댐자그래 성고 찌겨고 시접스나 일났다 영았단 독도니 아니 가샤로도 마서는 가서 타녀요 어디 거기 그 아웃풋 동기하러 받고 한 디지트 한 이제 노르교들이 가시 연예계 아무래도 거기 뒤더러도 번거여러 받고 디지트 줄었던 거 이네 약수다 제배는 그런 게 커스텀 기든데 AI 낭주랑 디나는 변나 당고물로 랑기 쇼다 디진주바게 나로래 양 만다만다 ሸ기여러 봐 어디 답변은 gelug버러는 어디 종가버랑게 따와디 말때 거여스 디간이샤고 예서나 그 다른 쉐이르다고 샴바드 되게 말하고 당아서 믿어 찍버러고 안 거디지도 자위게 AI 아마데도 미지게 당진셔요 말다고 갈고 가지 미 삼나라 수직 당진셔 두고 말아야 이네 칸이 마태한테다 거 디시는 디그 말서 수수 당진시가 얼라 미게 당진시로 받다고 디 더러지래고 오늘
The concern is real. So in terms of like searching for informations as well, when we search for informations through vector search, what happens is that it gives out the nearest kind of informations which is linking to that kind of words, and it might be factually incorrect, but it gives out eventually. So the alternative solutions is within AI, like let's say in ChatGPT, we can create like a separate GPT model And if we are trying to search for like specific scriptures, we can include them inside the custom GPT model and ask that custom GPT a question, and that will be more factual, and that could be more understandable to that specific person.
Okay, so we'll take 2 more questions and then we will call it a day.
So when, I don't know, Venerable Geshe said that something is happening in November, like that's only 3 months away. So I was just wondering what is that kind of a threshold. But what I wanted to ask is, isn't AI, LLM, you know, the language modeling, isn't that also developing by itself? I mean, it's not just static. Everything is developing all the time. So will things improve or prompt engineering will change?
LLM Kuran Rangan Yarji Drasa Kiamare, Kolodiki, Tadagi, Training Teacherva, the Kazuman Tabina Koyarjet Ditogram, Chitangi generative of the Kurangi, Kuran Sotugur, in a Kola Lojan Tejo, D. Naloni Pascor, the Sogor Moto, Kogi Bet Savage Soya today, Omar Sekola, Injibi, Training Tagores, the Chictitiris.
So in terms of AI developing itself and learning, self-learning programs, what I feel is happening within the AI models, like in a self-sustained AI model where the data isn't increased or decreased, is that it's learning within its own system. So the answers might be better and better, but it actually isn't learning a lot of new things. For that, we need to include more data, more information, so that it actually performs better on giving like clearer answers.
And Tinigo Chiligi, you're a professional, that makes it Karkaragona, and Telapania Kokona training Tetanji or Moto, Kurangani, Kurangana Yami, Chichira, and Echa.
Self-learning in terms of like self-learning in terms of like a static AI model with just static data. That is, I haven't heard about it. I'll have to look into it. And
yeah. 저도 죽지도 당한 저기 LLM 친신 친구들 때문에 저거지 예스라. 근데 디기 데 엔드는 아주 미신 트랜슬레이션 때 저기 당가로 봐. 저도 죽직 랍데데 디기 예스라. 이제 디기 아주 쉬워직 단다서 디 말했어. 디 름베치는 용거랬어. 아주 LLM 짓던 거랬다.
So I've been talking about November, and that is because Monlam usually holds its annual tech event on November 3rd. So that's why I was just earmarking that date so that the release date will come. Usually November is not just like any special date or something like that. It's just that Monlam will release their new versions on that date. And what we hope to release like this time is to have a better machine translation model, a better speech to text model, a better OCR model, better interactive models to facilitate all three, and a small LLM feature that could be like a sample for the future.
Just like it. No. First of all, I would really like to congratulate you for the progress. It's immense, and actually, I was really like surprised one long time ago, because we often go to, I think it's the only one that we go to, Monlam dictionary, and then when I heard about Monlam is going AI, it was like very very surprising moment for me. So thank you for making this beautiful AI, which we all can use. And so my question is, actually it's my curiosity. So I wanted to ask, just like other sort of AIs that sorry, the first question will be, would it be used for corporate and businesses? And second thing is, so I've seen a lot of AIs, especially in Facebook Meta that we use regularly. In WhatsApp, we have this AI model that it's Llama something. So they're using this AI model, and then it really helps us to write messages, whether it's formal, informal, or whether we want to make sure our grammars and the words that we use is proper for the messages, which, for example, when we use our words, write sentences and text messages for, let's say, Geshe La. So more often I use WhatsApp AI, so, and then I copy paste and send so that it will look proper. So I was wondering if something like this will be available, for example, for also for the services, for example, if we go to CTA websites or Tibet House websites, and will there be an AI API that are provided in the future times, so that we can also train your model, and then we can respond it in a proper sort of Tibetan, who someone who knows only Tibetan, they faces some kind of problems when they don't know about the processes of a document, for example. So I wanted to know, will it be available in the future times? And rest will be yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Under the ngajugi tan mulam AI rangi samsuchin ta up yongzo do sama so de to marba dangajugi but amando de moda da masone engine ro da ngaju and di the Katuna Arjita update the Goro DJ and the up drama condition on the ABI to be enough and John the Tibetan House Tajakan to the gay like you're an inch like you're going to arrange Pajur so you're then the Narangir the Mangasu in Dinala that was a Taja Samapi like your shadow and it the extension the Mangasu Choriko. Also that Kanji Carson Digi GPU concept is Shukshima Benatandanga Zuna Dawala Aridolor Tonda Sum Shit Drogor Dawala Kora. The input output initial upload donor initial local Lacheta or Wako. Dig can get Tessio in a dig as you can erase any Shadeta or Marwako, conduct Tapshi or Roko. Did you do Tapanamazuki Tapshi Langa Mongore, Pen Tibetan House Project, you've been a Koran to Carpetio Town and Tita, number Tisha, and the Uncle Digi, Jibu and Rosonti Social Tampena, Tamazokangi J. Marwa, Mazokangi Menati, not in Lamsare, Tamazola, Rosan Chair, Drogana, as some Tangura, and as a Bajela, some Stangura, and Dimotamazu, me, Taran Digi, model to Musado, that the days of the Mare, so the gay region Sonship Chetty, the that again as preservation and promotion among lofty got Zuchet into and Howard down the church down the neck on the top there, you do want to model the Zuti, Sonia the Nemara. In a town up some as you said, and Kurako Midako, the Chigre, and the song it and the day of an the church over Backup. She don't that Sobakata in Magere, and so switching the Gigan Roman, Dawala, Ritolan, you should drug in Ryan Sobachi, teach Vinako. Pagin Digi, the DC repairs, chicks Kogi upload Donald Chevina, or Ritola Gas, or the Netoko, then on the Trajatas and a munch of Donald Chigur, what I go upload Chen Europe. She don't care about the Nere. Tamogre. You did the Chidangi, somebody soon, could the Karan and Pijatango. Did it, Tango, Labor the Danazokangi, the careers and the Pina so left the modern education subject, the set over the Yamar, teach young as that is searching here. 등도 쉬운 첫 상황이 배경 능에는 야고지 겨루고 봐고 안치도는 마음발로 지금 배랑 간에 잡는 게 쉬울 간이라 주기 따나다예요 봐 아니 파견내 줘요 석견내 줘요 봐 띵어서 단도 방치 속에 다 로직인 거기마다 간다 랩도 그래요.
So yes, we are ready to facilitate like business or corporate. Even though we aren't looking for profit per se, we actually are spending almost $4,000 to $5,000 per month to actually run those models on cloud service. So it is a costly endeavor for us, and but we aren't stopping at that. So we are trying to find means through which to support this noble like project. To answer your second questions, like Meta has this own like chatbot for WhatsApp, for Messenger, and all those things, and it has helped people like every sort of users to make their letters better, to make their letters more respectful, to make their letters more grammatically correct. Those sort of features, of course, we are working on it in terms of Tibetan, and it'll be ready. I hope a sample will be ready by November, and by a year or two, it'll be like full-fledged. And for like APIs and for institutions, big institutions like Tibet.net or Tibet House, we are ready to provide like API keys, just so that the cost of ours doesn't become too high. So the cost, I hope, will be the cost of that specific API key will be hosted by the specific institutions. So then it'll be easier for us to like maintain and develop our own models. But yes, we are ready to facilitate it. And of course, in terms of Tibet House, since Tibet House has been an initial partner of Monlam AI, we are ready to assist in any way possible.
Thank you very much, Dr. Geshe Lobsang Monlam, for the wonderful answers, which have truly unlocked many new questions and many new information about the artificial intelligence which is being developed by Geshe La. And I surely look forward, maybe in the near future, that we're going to have a collaboration with Venerable Dr. Geshe Monlam, so that we can learn more about this Monlam artificial intelligence, and also about the Indian-Tibetan knowledge system, which surely benefits and serves the community. And I would also like to add on that Venerable Geshe La, thank you very much for all your effort, especially in developing such a program, which was never expected. As an individual, from my side, during my childhood days, I've never expected that, we would probably have a Tibetan script, a Tibetan font in our technology, in the computer system, in the mobile phone and everything. But now it has become a reality, and which is truly something really commendable, for which we are very grateful to you, and we would like to thank you and your team for the very collective effort for developing such a program. And with this, now I would like to conclude the session. And before that, I would like to request our secretary, Mr. Tenzin Kujepla, to kindly come up and give a word of thanks to our guest speaker, Venerable Dr. Geshe Lobsang Monlam, and his team, Mr. Tenzin Telela and Mr. Tenzin Norsanla, for helping out with more information and the insight of this very topic of the evening session.
Thank you, Kumala. I will not take much time. So on behalf of Tibet House and everyone who are gathered here, I would like to thank Geshe Lobsang Monlam for coming here and giving you a wonderful presentation. Personally, for me and for Tibetans who are like me, who are younger generations, are very grateful for your contributions, because this AI technology, and they are all very accessible. And usually we don't go through, textbooks and books that much. But since this AI is very much available, and these days we are all more, habitual towards using information in mobile than on the books and things like that. So these AI technologies and dictionaries are very helpful, and those who are not so strong in their Tibetan backgrounds. So on that, I would like to thank you again, and I really appreciate Chinila and Nosong La. I can see that your team is very supportive of Geshe Monlam, as we all can see, and I would really like to thank you for that. And without much ado, yeah, and for all those participants here, if you wish to attend future events of Tibet House, you can subscribe to our newsletter by sending an email to programs@tibethouse.in, and you can also visit our website, or you can visit our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend. Thank you.